Why you feel socially handicapped. Welcome to my channel, Habit Compass. Okay, let's dive right into this. You know that feeling when you walk away from a conversation and just replay everything you said over and over, just cringing internally? Or maybe you get this heavy wave of panic when you're forced to make small talk. It's like you somehow missed the orientation day for being a functioning human being. Honestly, it's such a common struggle right now. So today, we're taking a really reassuring look into why socializing feels so incredibly hard for so many of us lately. And trust me, you are absolutely not alone here. The sheer number of people dealing with this daily is literally staggering. But as you'll see in this video, the root cause, it's probably not what you think. So ask yourself, are you just bad at talking? Think about that sad, kind of droopy feeling of looking in the mirror right before a social event, wondering if you're just inherently flawed. It is so easy to look at that reflection, let your shoulders slump, and think, man, I'm just broken when it comes to this stuff. Everyone else has this secret instruction manual for holding conversations, and I just completely missed it. We internalize this so deeply, don't we? We let one awkward pause at a coffee shop totally dictate our self-worth. We label ourselves as naturally awkward, or permanently shy, or just fundamentally unlikable. It literally becomes an identity. We start believing that social charisma is some genetic lottery. And well, we just didn't pull the winning ticket. But what if I told you that this entire internal narrative is completely backwards? Like, what if the problem isn't your personality at all? Let's think about the stark contrast between how we used to live and how we live right now. Remember our childhoods? We were constantly outside playing with others. We were navigating these really complex group dynamics on the playground, making up rules on the fly, negotiating with friends in real time. If a fight broke out over a game of tag, you actually had to use your words, read facial expressions, and figure it out face to face. We were actively engaged with human voices and spontaneous reactions. Now, think about present day. Think about your average Tuesday. How much time do you spend completely alone in a room, just bathed in the artificial light of a glowing rectangle? Our environment has drastically shifted. We've gone from a world of chaotic, face-to-face interaction where social friction was just part of the daily routine to this highly controlled, isolated digital existence. The landscape of our daily lives has totally fundamentally changed. Yet, for some reason, we still expect our social skills to be razor sharp. We're effectively living in isolation, but then wondering why we feel so rusty when we finally step out the door. And that brings us to the core concept we need to unpack today: flight hours. Basically, flight hours are the measurable amount of real-world practice required to build and maintain social mastery. Think about a commercial pilot. You wouldn't expect someone to confidently fly a Boeing 747 through a storm if they've only ever played a flight simulator app on their phone, right? Like, it doesn't matter how many books they read about aerodynamics or how many videos they watched. To be a pilot, they need actual logged hours in a physical cockpit, feeling the controls, responding to real weather, managing actual stress. Social skills, they are exactly the same. Being good at talking isn't some magical genetic trait you're born with. It's an active skill. And mastering an active skill is entirely about logging your practice time. If you haven't been practicing, if you've been staring at a screen instead of getting into the messy, unpredictable flow of a real conversation, well, yeah, of course you're going to feel incredibly rusty. You simply haven't been in the cockpit. So the absolutely crucial point comes down to this. It's not a birth defect. It's a lack of flight hours. I really want to just empathetically reassure you right now. That social awkwardness you feel deep in your chest, that tightness in your throat when someone asks you a super simple question, it's simply a lack of recent practice, because modern technology is keeping us all indoors and isolated. It is absolutely not a permanent personal flaw. You aren't broken. You're just grounded. You've been sitting in the terminal, staring at your phone, scrolling through feeds, instead of getting up in the air and flying. And honestly, when we reframe our social anxiety this way, it takes this massive emotional weight off our shoulders. It moves the problem away from who I am as a person and logically shifts it to what I haven't done lately. It transforms a personal failing into a simple scheduling issue. You literally just need to book some time in the air. Okay, so how do we actually fix it? Well, we need a clear execution plan to charge up that low social skills battery. Step 1, recognize the low social battery. You have to acknowledge the deficit without judging yourself. Just consciously say, hey, I'm out of practice. And you know what? That's okay. Step 2 is beautifully simple but highly effective. Walk outside. You have to break the physical isolation of your room. You need to physically place yourself in environments where other humans actually exist. Then, step 3 is where the charging really starts. Simply say hello. Now, you don't need some witty monologue. Just say hello to the barista, or a neighbor checking their mail, or someone walking their dog. The reason this works so powerfully is because it's exceptionally low stakes with zero commitment.
You aren't locking yourself into a 30-minute debate, you're just exchanging a quick 2-second acknowledgement. It is the perfect warm-up. And finally, step 4. As you log these micro flight hours day by day, you gradually build up the capacity to stand confidently in a circle of friends. It's an incremental process. You start with tiny, low-stakes interactions to jumpstart the battery, and you build your mastery from there, until you eventually feel totally at ease holding your own at a dinner party.
To fully destigmatize the anxiety you might be holding on to right now, we really need to embrace the core truths of our modern social landscape. First, and honestly most importantly, it is not your fault. I want you to actively let go of the shame and the guilt you might carry around social interactions. Second, we've got to recognize the reality of modern times. We're all navigating this unprecedented technological shift that inherently isolates us. I mean, everything from food delivery to remote work to endless entertainment. It's literally designed to keep us alone in our rooms staring at glowing rectangles. This is largely an environmental problem, a feature of modern society, not some glitch in your personality. And third, all of this simply leads to missing practice. That is the real, entirely solvable culprit here. Your conversational muscles have just atrophied from lack of use. You just need to get back out into the real world and stretch them. By understanding these truths, you can stop fighting yourself. You can stop calling yourself socially handicapped and start systematically, patiently rebuilding those communication muscles.
Which brings us to this final provocative question I want to leave you with. How will you earn your flight hours today? Are you going to look up from the glowing rectangle when you get your coffee? Will you make eye contact and just say hi to the cashier at the grocery store? Will you take your headphones out for just 5 minutes while walking through your neighborhood? Remember, social mastery isn't magic. It's just a series of small, practiced moments over time. So start logging those hours. If you learned something new, subscribe to the channel for building better habits through navigating Compass, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.